If we don't bring the parents with us on the teaching journey, sometimes when the child will say, I'm kind of done with this, parents go, okay, well, I am too. Because if we look at how students are learning today, there's so much more intake of students any age going, I won't go to a piano teacher, I'll just learn off YouTube. So how do we navigate that? How do we go, well, hang on, what's drawing people to just doing it online by themselves versus that in-studio experience lesson where you actually do learn fundamentals and learn technique and don't learn bad habits?
Hi, I'm Gillian.
And I'm Paul, and that was Warrick Baker, who's the General Manager for Kawai Australia, which probably makes him one of the last people you'd expect to say, piano can be a lonely place to sit, but it's true, isn't it, sometimes?
I think so. I certainly felt that when I was a kid, because I think all of us get where he's coming from on that. Like what he's describing is how we were taught one-on-one and how still 90% of the kids around the world are taught. And it's just like one student, one teacher. I always say this, you got your lesson on your own. You come home and practice on your own, and everything's on your own. It's such a shame because pianists, I often said they're just like, they play like this. They never had to listen to anybody because there was never anyone to have to listen to and fit in with and all that kind of stuff. It's this solo kind of instrument, which is, it's probably one of the only ones that's that solo and insular, isn't it?
It is. That's exactly right. And we know that kids actually love learning together. But you recorded this interview with Warrick at Top Music Live a month or so ago. Yeah, it's always keen to hear what Warrick has to say because he's been in his position for many, many years and he's just privy to so many statistics and trends and the analysis of the industry. It's so interesting what he knows about.
I think so. There's things that we, as piano teachers, we don't actually get insights into this information. So it's always really interesting when they, general managers and managing directors and things like that do share this info with us because it's the future of our industry as much as it is the future of their industry as well. And I think what I really love about Kawai is its kind of attitude to be supporting teachers, and Kawai Australia does that very generously with supporting the major sponsor for the APPC. He was major sponsor for Tim Topham Music. Like he's always there to really help support teachers. So I think it's really good. And I think many teachers think, oh yeah, well that's all very well and good. They want us to buy pianos. But, I think that the costs of it really of supporting comes from a much more genuine place. And that I think it comes from an underlying philosophy that was born into Kawai, which is really lovely. And they're really interested. I mean, Warrick's very interested, and they're all very interested in parental attitudes. And he talks about attention spans. And, the earlier episode we had with Dr. Anita Collins, she was the keynote speaker at Top Music Live. And that only happens because we've got sponsors like Kawai and other major sponsors to support this kind of thing because they pay for that to happen. But he also talks about why kids are choosing YouTube. And we all know that as teachers, don't we? We all know that. And we kind of so many teachers are going, I wish they wouldn't do it on YouTube. It's annoying. Maybe they wouldn't have come to you if they hadn't have started doing YouTube.
That's true, yes. And, even if they are doing YouTube and watching YouTube, they still need to get some professional help. So you're still there and still important.
Absolutely. And we'd love them to get that professional help as soon as possible so that we've got a better chance of helping them stick a piano longer, right?
That's right. And maybe breaking those bad habits that they get as well.
Not even having any of those bad habits to start with, which is really nice.
Well, let's listen to your interview with Warrick.
Hi, Warrick. Warrick is General Manager of Kawai Australia, and we are here at Top Music Live. You're a major sponsor of this event. You're a major sponsor of the Australian Piano Pedagogy Conference coming up in Adelaide.
Coming up in Adelaide soon, July.
Yeah, only a few months away. So if you haven't got tickets, make sure you get them. It's such a large commitment to come and do things like this. So why do you do this? Because many others don't.
For us, it's paramount to what music actually means in our day-to-day life. And if we really unpack the societal benefits that making music gives us day to day, it's really important that us as a brand are investing into that future and developing skills of teachers to actually deliver music education and piano education with how kids want to learn music today. If I think back, it's 46 years ago since I first touched the keyboard. It's changed so much from how kids played then to how kids today think about how they want to engage with music, how they want to share the music with their friends, how they want to engage in making music on the products. It's all changed. So events like this, and Tim's done such a great job. The speaker lineup yesterday was amazing.
Yeah.
To really put that agenda forward, thinking that things are changing and we need to change our ways to keep music engagement a really important part of the conversation.
That's right. Because, you know, yesterday we had Anita Collins, Dr. Anita Collins, and I thought her presentation was just like totally on the mark in terms of how everyone's noticing it. The children these days, we believe it's probably the influence of digital devices in their lives at sometimes a very early age. That is changing the way their brains are wired, and it's also changing the way they learn music to some extent, or they are able to take on board music.
Yes.
Yeah, and parenting styles have also changed along with that as well. So what was your main takeaways from Anita's work yesterday?
I think it's the attention space. You know, trying to maintain that attention both when they're not in the lesson in the studio or needing to practice at home. You know, we live in such a disruptive world with screens, notifications, always on mentality. Kids' investment time in vocation school activities. It's a really big ask now. So that attention piece is really important. And I think part of the process is if we can get the parents engaged in that journey and focus on music as part of life, they become part of that learning journey as well. If we don't bring the parents with us on the teaching journey, sometimes when the child will say, I'm kind of done with this, parents go, okay, well, I am too.
Yeah.
Because they're not invested.
Well, no, and they have such busy lives.
Yeah.
I mean, much busier. My mum was pretty busy, but busier lives. They're trying to hold down, many of them trying to hold down a career, as well as they're trying to do family on this side, family on this side. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So when a child says, oh, I don't want to learn anymore, they go, oh, yeah, good. One less thing I have to do.
And I think the other thing that really came out of Anita's presentation is that cognitive development. You know, we're not just teaching music, we're teaching mathematics, we're teaching physics, we're teaching discipline. And it's all of those formative skills that you learn from very young ages that actually become your life skills, which we use forever. And it really comes from that music lessons and that music development of the brain. So that was probably the biggest takeaway and reinforcement that it is important. And we need to invest heavily in today's teachers to ensure that teacher development is delivering lessons in that space.
And it's not just, as a company, Kawai, you're not just investing in things like Top Music Live and APPC, but you've also got your experience centres that you've just opened in Brisbane and Adelaide.
Yes, new showroom in Brisbane, new showroom in Adelaide. And both of those experience centres are to reinforce all the event activations that we're involved in with Top Music Live, APPC, many private institution events that we support as well. It's about bringing that all together. So it's having a pivotal centre point that, particularly for piano, there is a collective coming together around the instrument, around making music. It's not about product. It's about that collective societal connection of making music. And that's, for us at Kawai, that's really important. That was part of the founding pillars that Koichi Kawai started with. We're 100 years in 2027. It's the 100th anniversary. And the founding vision was to make pianos accessible to anyone and everyone. And that's still very much the foundation of today's business model, fourth generation with Kentaro Kawai. And it's very, very special that 100 years later, we still operate on that preface that this is what it's actually about.
Yes. Yeah. And it was interesting last night when we were having a chat over dinner, and it was you were telling me that the fastest growing instrument in the piano range is the hybrid.
Yeah. Hybrid is changing the game. It's really aligning with how today's kids want to play music. So if we go back to when we learnt many, many years ago, it was one sound, one instrument. you couldn't connect a device, and those ideas weren't even on our radar.
No.
We practiced pianos, we practiced scales, and that was it. But thinking about how kids want to learn today,
Well, to some extent, we weren't looking at connecting, but I wanted to. I don't know whether you wanted to, but I had like a Beatles album and I wanted to play along with it.
well, yeah.
But it was invariably in the wrong key or wrong
you press
speed.
play on the cassette recorder and kind of work it out and
Yeah.
sort of try and become
If
the
you
piano
could.
player if you could. That is changing the game. The other big reason why that's becoming such a high populate product now is because of people's living environments. Our living spaces are changing. They're getting smaller. Townhouses, apartments, people still want pianos. They can't necessarily have the noise of a 6-foot grand piano in an apartment or a townhouse, but hybrid pianos allow you to do that. So it literally becomes the
Talk to
best
me
of
about
both
the
worlds.
hybrid piano. So we've got a full action inside, feels like a piano.
Yes. Feels like, looks like, sounds like a piano. So it's a real piano action. It's acoustic piano for every case and purpose. Hammers, strings, soundboard, frame. It just has a digital sensor rail on the hammer rail that you activate, and it makes the piano silent. So it is an acoustic piano first and foremost.
Silent, and you put your headphones on, you can hear yourself.
Yeah. So it gives you the playing experience of a real acoustic piano. It gives you that tactile feeling of a real acoustic piano. But when you want to play at 10, 11 o'clock at night at home in those small spaces, headphones on, off you go.
And can you plug in devices to play along with?
Yeah, so you can plug in via USB connection or better yet, Bluetooth connection. So Bluetooth WAV file, Bluetooth MIDI, and you can record that as well as both formats. So it's opening up the doors that really the only limitation is your imagination. If you can't think of it, hybrid products can't do it. So it's changing the landscape. Nothing will ever replace the real traditional acoustic piano.
No. So are those hybrid sales outstripping the acoustic piano sales?
In some markets, yes. In other markets, no. As Asia and Europe, they're very
Smaller
it's
living
much
environments.
smaller living environments. In America, Australia, we still have big homes, big spaces. So it's still very much that 6-foot or 132, 134 centimeter upright piano. But things change.
Yeah, they do.
If we look at the evolution of piano over the last 150 years, it hasn't really changed from where it started as a Cristofori piano to today. Because if we change too much, it's not a piano anymore.
Did the whole digital space is a
That is true. That is true, yes.
And, with our housing affordability going here, we might actually be looking at new generations coming in, and a townhouse is their house.
Yes.
So we probably are on the beginning of a
Yeah, it's a huge thing, and that's the same in the digital piano category as well. That's the biggest sector of products produced in the world in the category. And again, it's lifestyle choices, and it's way people want to engage with making music. So they don't want the big space that an acoustic piano takes up. They don't want the servicing expectations an acoustic piano comes up. So piano product today is really about suiting your lifestyle, your means, and the way you want to play music. And I think that's a really important part of the conversation, which makes conferences like this so important, because it's not that traditional pedaling for Bach or scales or Bergmuller exercises. It's widening that breadth of how do we approach this to get the best benefit for the community.
Well, yeah. How do we meet our students where they're at?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, because
both educationally and where their homes are built and their lives are run and their desires.
Yeah, because if we look at how students are learning today, there's so much more intake of students any age going, I won't go to a piano teacher, I'll just learn off YouTube.
Yes.
So how do we navigate that? How do we go, well, hang on, what's drawing people to just doing it online by themselves versus that in-studio experience lesson where you actually do learn fundamentals and learn technique and don't learn bad habits?
Yeah.
Whereas the other, it's fun, but you don't really learn that much.
No, you only get so far as well.
Yeah.
I was a Guitar Hero.
Yep.
I tried to do that. I was doing that with my teenage son at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn anything. I still wouldn't know one end from another.
Yeah, and I think,
Same thing.
there's a really important point for the studio lesson, because if we look at that community piece again, group lessons, as you well know, you're a leader in that space. that's becoming the real changer in how we approach piano product. It's adapting that ensemble orchestra mentality. If we think about piano, it's a very insular product. We sit in the corner by
I
ourselves.
know, it's so lonely.
So breaking that mold and going, let's use that orchestra ensemble community and create it as groups and let them have fun.
Yeah.
Let them bounce off their friends and create makeshift.
That's right. It's the social environment. It's a very different, those sorts of things have been, well, they've always been important. Those things have come much more to the fore as importance with this age group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you. Looking
Thank
forward
you,
to another
Kelly.
great day.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
And let's do it all again.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that Kawai turns 100 in 2027?
It
So
certainly does. Yeah.
it's a significant milestone, isn't it? I think Yamaha celebrated 100 years not that long ago as well. These giant Japanese companies are still going strong all of these years later. It's like they joined the ranks of Steinway and Bosendorfer and those sort of major. They're just household names, aren't they?
They are, yes.
And, Mr. Kawai's founding idea was that piano needed to be accessible to anyone and everyone. So I think that they've really still living that philosophy all these years later. And it drives their business decisions. I mean, one of our Forte schools in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, has a Kawai Experience Centre next door. And they're interested in having teachers come and do concerts in their auditorium. They're happy to support that, which is in service to this philosophy, I think, as well, which is so nice.
Exactly. And I'm actually doing a workshop tour for Kawai around Australia in major capital cities in September, October. So we'll put those dates and information in the show notes. So if you're around and you'd like to learn a little bit more about using whole body learning with your students, that's a great opportunity for you to
Warning, these are always very practical sessions. Be ready to sing and move. You won't be sitting there with Paul talking to you. I can assure you of that.
That's true. Well, you probably, if you saw a couple of episodes ago doing Omo Chio, we've had such a wonderful response from that. So we'll definitely be doing Omo Chio around there as well.
It's just been such a hit. It's just sometimes you get these absolute gems, and that's one of them where they just instantly go crazy and everybody wants to do it.
Exactly. And we love supporting teachers as well. And of course, you need resources to help every student, from those ones who are the YouTube starters from beginners to adults. And that's one of the things that we really want to support teachers with in the studio at Piano Teaching Success. And we have got materials for just about anything you can think of in a piano lesson. And it's so quick because you just go, flick, here it is, let's do it. And you don't have to sort of get on a website and order it and what have you. It's all there for you.
I think many piano teachers, back when I first started teaching, we kind of just had our little set routine of where we wanted to take kids. And we generally used the same kind of books. We might have had one or two different ones. And I think gradually as the years have gone on, teachers are adding more and more things. Now we get to a point, it's not just about repertoire selection. This is a very different child that we're seeing today, and they need to move, they need to sing, they need to integrate the music into their bodies because they don't remember as easily as kids back 10 years, even 10 years ago.
Yes.
Certainly 20 years and 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
They have changed. And so this is where the studio absolutely comes into its own because it's got all the kind of whole body learning, which is getting off the, off-bench activities. And a lot of teachers think, oh, yes, I'll do some off-bench activities. Let's sing this and clap that. That just gets so boring. And it's not about that because, those are elements of some of the off-body things, off-bench activities. It's really about having activities that really address the learning difficulty for each piece. It's not just about doing some random thing, or, oh yeah, we'll play a card game. Oh, we'll play a bingo game. Or that's just kind of, lesson time is so precious. We need to fill it with things that are really going to move the needle in terms of progress, right?
Absolutely. Well, if you do want to find out about the studio, head over to pianoteachingsuccess.com and just click on the studio to find out more about the studio and what's inside. And remember to like and subscribe. It helps the platform tell other teachers about this content. Thank you so much for that interview, Gillian, and we will see everyone in the next episode. Bye for now.